how you're looking at it if you're the Warriors here now with 22 games to go as they continue this homestand where they have to get on a little bit of a roll, and they're going to have to continue to do it shorthanded with the Timberwolves in here tonight, and the Warriors and Timberwolves looking at the Western Conference standings. They come in even right now. You've got Minnesota, Utah, and Golden State all basically tied for 7th. And so the Warriors with the Timberwolves tonight, you've got the Pelicans who are 30-31, a half game back of Golden State, Utah, and Minnesota. They're coming in on Friday. Then the Clippers in between there. Portland still believes as a team that's only a game and a half behind the Warriors, although currently 13th in the Western Conference, that they have action as far as getting into the play-in tournament. And so these games, all of them over the course of the next week, in particular, the games tonight against Minnesota, Tuesday night against Portland, and Friday in the second of a back-to-back against the Pelicans are all of significant importance in the playoff and play-in tournament race as the Warriors try and qualify for the postseason. We are sponsored by Xfinity Internet, better streaming, Flex 4K device, voice remote, and Peacock Premium, all at no extra cost, no strings attached, as it is Warriors Live here, sponsored by Xfinity, the Warriors, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's the third of 4 head-to-head meetings between these two teams. It's the first in San Francisco for the Warriors and the Timberwolves. The first 2 games in Minneapolis and split by the two teams. The Warriors back at the end of November went into Minnesota, put 47 on them in the first quarter and blew them out. And then back on the 1st of February in Minnesota, the Timberwolves beat out the Warriors, won in overtime, 119-114. That was a game that the Warriors felt they let slip away down the stretch, one of so many games that the Warriors have let slip away, in particular on the road down the stretch this season. And this game, pivotal, really, when you look at all of the teams, probably 13 of the 15 teams in the Western Conference, as I alluded to, that believe they're in the race. And Minnesota having the tie right now with the Warriors, and these games, these head-to-head games coming up, not only tonight, but the 4th one, which is 1 month from tonight on a Sunday afternoon in March, February 26th, Sunday afternoon, March 26th, Sunday afternoon. Those are the final 2 matchups between the Warriors and the Timberwolves, and obviously head-to-head, that plays a big role in the tiebreaker as well. And with these two teams splitting the season series, if the Warriors can continue to play well on the home floor and win both of these games, it obviously helps the two teams separate in the standings. Whoever wins this one's going to be a game ahead of the other. And if either of these teams can win the last 2 head-to-head, it would be that 2-game swing, and also would be the team that has the tiebreaker advantage should it come down to that. And there could be a whole lot of wild tiebreaker scenarios, essentially from 6 all the way down through 10, 11, 12, and maybe even 13 in that Western Conference. John Dickinson here on Warriors Live on 95.7 The Game. Let's go ahead and get to our injury report, which is brought to you by Boxer & Gerson. Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. For more info, visit boxerlaw.com. And the Warriors are going to be shorthanded in this one. We will hear from Steve Kerr coming up here in just a second, relating to the biggest surprise on the injury report for this afternoon's game against the Timberwolves. But first, let everybody know that Andrew Wiggins will remain out once again for personal reasons. Stephen Curry out with the left tib-fib sprain. Also, Andre Iguodala, Gary Payton II, and Ryan Rollins each remain out for Golden State. The surprise, though, was Draymond Green popping up on the injury report as out when the trajectory had been toward Draymond probably playing. And this is the second consecutive game where it's looked in the lead-up to the game as if Draymond was going to be able to play, and now he's not going to be able to play. So I want to play this cut from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, addressing just everything that went on with Draymond, who remains out here tonight with a right knee contusion.
It flared up today, so he will be more thoroughly checked out today by our medical staff. So it was sort of unexpected the way he came through treatment yesterday. Everything was looking good, and he had a setback today. So we'll learn more today, and we'll have more for you tomorrow.
Does he need to get like an X-ray or something? Or
Probably an MRI. So I'll talk to the training staff after this, but.
So there you go. A couple of words you don't like to hear. The main one you don't like to hear is setback. Anytime that term is used as it relates to an injury, that's not what you want to hear. And I think that's especially not what the Warriors want to hear when you look at where they are right now with all of these games coming up against teams that they're battling with, and it is go time. And the game the other night against the Rockets, minus a couple of contributions from some of the young players and Klay Thompson with a historic, legendary, old Klay type performance, it was a little rough on the edges for the Warriors in that one through significant stretches against a team that came in without their top two scorers in the Rockets, but also a team that came in with the worst record in the NBA. So I think with the Warriors not playing necessarily as well of late and things being a little bit clunky, even though they have been playing much better on the home court, again, as the road record has again slipped for the Warriors. You look at that, and the Warriors are going to have to play these games, shorthanded to begin with without Steph Curry, which I think is something that they anticipated, but now to have to potentially play these games without Steph and Andrew Wiggins, who remains out with the personal reason, and also now potentially with Draymond Green, I think that becomes all the more problematic and makes the whole thing a little bit more fragile for the Warriors here as things move forward. John Dickinson rolling along here on Warriors Live on 95.7 The Game from Chase Center, as the Warriors and the Timberwolves set to come up here on 95.7 The Game, as the Warriors playing Game 2 of this 5-game homestand, as the Warriors looking to continue their winning ways against Minnesota on the home floor, as the Warriors have been highly successful against the Timberwolves of late, and the Warriors' 11 consecutive wins at home over the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves haven't beaten the Warriors in the Bay since 2016. Kind of hard to believe, but true. Warriors have not beaten or have beaten the Timberwolves. It's 11 consecutive wins. If you recall, that was a game late at the end of the 2015-2016 season with the Warriors in the midst of the 73-9 season, and the Warriors wound up losing that game in overtime on April the 5th of 2016. 124-117 was the final. So the Warriors have won 14 of the last 15 meetings head-to-head against Minnesota. So the Warriors are going to be looking for a little bit of that home cooking as well. The Warriors have also won 6 of their last 7 at Chase, with the only loss coming against the Lakers on February 11th. And the Warriors have gotten the job done against some Western Conference opponents during that stretch as well. Also had the win against the Wizards there right before the All-Star break. And again, a huge game in the standings, with the Warriors having to figure out how to function without 3/5 of their starting lineup. Steve Kerr did say that the Warriors are going to roll with the same starting lineup that they had on Friday night against the Rockets, and that means Jordan Poole, that means Klay Thompson, that means Dante DiVincenzo is in the starting lineup as well, and also Jonathan Kuminga gets another start for the Warriors in that one, and Kevon Looney, who I thought was a steadying, stable, just force for the Warriors here in that game. Some key offensive rebounds. He really controlled the glass for the Warriors on a night where they were able to out-rebound the Rockets. And again, as Looney can be, just a stabilizing force for a Warriors team that needs all the veteran presence that they can get and just needs as many of their championship caliber core players to be able to play as they can have in trying to keep themselves afloat here in that Western Conference playoff race. And at this point, really, that's what it's all about. It's all about just survival and getting as many wins as they can up until the point where they get Steph Curry back, and you hope this MRI goes well with Draymond, although that sounds like it could be, something to go from a bruise and what Steve Kerr said as far as there being a setback and now needing an MRI and having it flare up when it looks like it's going in the opposite direction. The one thing the Warriors really, are counting on here is health at some point. They know they don't have it now. They know they're probably not going to have it here for a while, but they are going to have to keep themselves alive until they can get healthy, and that's where you look at the home success and these next 4 games against those teams that they're battling with. These are games that are going to have to be games that the Warriors can get at least a couple of. Now, the good news is, and you look at the Western Conference playoff picture, and it is kind of a good news, bad news scenario, as I alluded to at the top of the show with all of the nationally televised games that are coming up here, and the Warriors part of that. Their game against Minnesota, part of the reason why this is a 4:30 tip as opposed to a normal 5:30 tip for weekend starts here at Chase Center. But the Lakers in Dallas just wrapped up from Dallas, and the Lakers came back from down big in this game. The Mavs had a 27-point lead at one point in this game, and the Lakers came back and won it with 62 points in the paint. They got the job done late. Anthony Davis went for 30, and they won 111-108 over the Mavs. So I said it's a good news, bad news situation. The good news is if you are in the market and of the belief for the Warriors having a stake in still getting the 6th seed and avoiding the play-in tournament altogether, well, that still very much is on the table if you look at the Mavs, who are currently the 6th seed in the Western Conference, taking a loss at home in a game they led by 27 to be 32-30. So the Warriors right now at 30-30, just a game back, and even in the loss column, with Dallas at 6. And so if you're of the belief, hey, avoid that play-in tournament altogether, you don't want anything to do with some of these one-off games or win and you're done game. If you can't win, you're out. Elimination games if you're 9-10, where the Warriors currently technically 9th, although, again, tied for 7th, as I mentioned, with Minnesota and Utah. So it's a good news, bad news situation in terms of Dallas loses. Now, the bad news is the Lakers won. And so L.A. inches closer to the Warriors and closer to that group of teams that currently is 7, 8, 9, and 10, with the Pelicans being the last of them, a half game back of the Warriors and a half game back of the Jazz and Timberwolves as well. The Lakers now just a game and a half off the beat of the Warriors at 29-32. And we talked about this on Thursday night when the Warriors took on the Lakers down in Southern California, and the Lakers were able to beat the Warriors for the second time in 2 weeks, with one more matchup coming up a week from today in Los Angeles again. This Lakers team is much better than the Lakers team that began the season. And so schedule luck often can play into a lot of these races, and the Warriors didn't play the Lakers a lot early in the year after that opening night, ring night game at Chase, and they are playing them a lot in the back half of the year. And teams that were able to make some hay against the Lakers early, if you didn't play them, you didn't get your chance. And the Warriors didn't, and now the Warriors and Lakers have played each other a couple of times. And that game a week from today is going to be, I think, an extension of this homestand with all of these teams that are all right there in the mix with each other. And so the Lakers now find themselves just a game and a half back of the Warriors, and they have the potential, if they beat the Warriors next week in Southern California, to get the tiebreaker, because that would be 3 out of 4 after the Warriors blew the Lakers out in the opener. And so good news, bad news type scenario with the Dallas Mavericks blowing that lead at home and the Lakers ultimately beating them. And so the Warriors can get closer to 6, but the Lakers getting closer to everybody else as well. The other game of note doesn't totally pertain, although, look, at this point, if you can go on a 5-game winning streak, you are in the mix for fourth because it is still so jumbled up. But the Suns did get beat by the Bucks in an early morning game in Milwaukee. Giannis didn't play. Obviously, Kevin Durant is set to make his debut in the Suns' next game, I believe, in Charlotte, coming up as the Suns are on a 4-game trip. But you look at that one right now, and the Suns take the L in that one, and so the Warriors still just 2 games out of fourth right now as things sit, as bleak sometimes as it has looked, and as many games as the Warriors have given away down the stretch, and as often as they've had to play shorthanded, not making the most of their season when they haven't been shorthanded, the Warriors still in a position where there are a lot of things on the table there. Some other quickly looking at it, games of note for the Warriors coming up later on tonight. Portland is hosting Houston. The Clippers are in Denver. Clippers and Nuggets, a couple of teams that are ahead of the Warriors in the standings. And Sacramento, off of their double overtime 176-175 win over the Clippers on Friday night. They're in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander there. And the Thunder had been a team that had been kind of hanging around the bottom fringe area of the play-in race, and it looks as if maybe they're going in a little bit of a different direction of late. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being shut down a little bit due to injury here of late as well for Oklahoma City. John Dickinson rolling along here from Chase Center. It's Warriors Live. It's brought to you by Xfinity Internet, better streaming, Flex 4K device, voice remote, and Peacock Premium, all at no extra cost. Here, no strings attached. Warriors and the Timberwolves, the third of the 4 head-to-head meetings between these two teams. A new look Timberwolves squad since just not even 4 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, when the Warriors met them on February the 1st in Minnesota. D'Angelo Russell on the move as he goes to the Lakers. He hurt the Warriors down the stretch in that game. The Lakers won at Chase here back on the 11th. And so Russell ends up going back to the Lakers, and the key cog in the deal that was a 3-team deal for Minnesota was adding Mike Conley to the mix as Conley back with Rudy Gobert. Of course, those two in Minnesota, and of course the big move in the offseason with the Timberwolves and the Jazz hooking up on a blockbuster deal that sent Gobert and all of these other pieces that wound up getting rerouted to the Lakers mid-season, part of their new look. Gobert comes over, and Rudy Gobert is in the mix now with the Jazz, although he was listed as questionable on the injury report, so stay tuned for that. Rudy Gobert popping up as questionable there. But you look at the Timberwolves, a squad that, again, different look from what the Warriors had seen prior. And Minnesota, their most recent outing, they've had a couple of bad losses coming out of the All-Star break. Bad home loss to Charlotte the other night. And Minnesota has been kind of a low-level, play down to the level of the competition type of opponent this year. Of course, they've been without Karl Anthony Towns for a significant chunk of the season. All eyes always on Anthony Edwards, as now Mike Conley gets thrown into the mix with Anthony Edwards as well, and his ability to play 40 minutes a night and attack the rim. And he's been somebody, a first-time All-Star that the Warriors are going to have to be able to withstand in this one. They've had good success over the years against Rudy Gobert, but a lot of that success has traditionally been Draymond Green's ability to handle him, not only defensively, but also the Warriors' ability to really make Gobert work out on the perimeter. The Warriors have done a nice job of that. He doesn't like coming out on the perimeter to defend the three, and so the Warriors have been able to take advantage of that, and they've also been able to get into the mid-range against Gobert and get beyond Gobert, drawing him out a little bit, and then being able to kick it behind him for layups and dunks. And so the Warriors have had success against Gobert. But yeah, Conley, Edwards, Kyle Anderson came over from Memphis. Jaden McDaniels getting the start for the Timberwolves. Also, Naz Reid, somebody that's hurt the Warriors. Big man that can step out and knock down the three ball as well. Naz Reid was a key factor in the last head-to-head matchup between these two teams as they played without Gobert in that one. And Naz Reid stepped right in, and Naz Reid put it to the Warriors in a big way for 24 points, knocked down a couple of threes, had 13 boards, and the Warriors really hurt at times in that game by some of the offensive rebounds. Timberwolves came from 11 down in the fourth quarter to force that game into overtime, and the Warriors wound up losing that most recent matchup head-to-head, 119 to 114. John Dickinson rolling on here. Warriors Live, final couple of minutes as the Warriors and the Timberwolves set to go here from Chase Center, as it is game 2 of the 5-game homestand for the Warriors, as they're looking to continue some of the success they had the other night, as they were able to beat the Rockets 116 to 101, and the Warriors going to need more of the same from the three-point line if they can get it. The 26 three-point makes for Golden State, and that one on 54 attempts. The Warriors really making the most of the matchup against the Rockets, and their inability to defend the three has been something the Warriors really took advantage of in those head-to-head matchups. They've had 26, 25, and 24 in 3 matchups head-to-head against the Rockets. And, of course, Klay Thompson, the most points ever scored in a game by a player that didn't knock down a 2-point field goal. All eyes on Klay, I think, tonight as we get to who will take it to the bank, sponsored by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. And without Steph, without Andrew Wiggins, without now Draymond Green, I think you look at this for the Warriors, and it really does become the Klay Thompson show. Going to need a lot of Jordan Poole, but going to need an aggressive Klay Thompson really trying to hold and carry this team up here to a Rockets team that has – a Timberwolves team, rather, that has played down to the level of the competition. Just a quick note to them on that note, Minnesota's lost 7 games this year to the Spurs, Rockets, Hornets, and Pistons. Why are they 30-30? I think the Warriors can relate to that. Warriors 30-30, Rockets, or Timberwolves rather, 31-31. All right, that'll do it. Tim and Tom, they got the call. It's coming up next. Join me after the ball game for Warriors wrap-up, as the Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves are coming up right here, and you will hear all of the action on your home for Warriors basketball. It's 95.7 The Game.
Investing is confusing. Dawn raids, triple witching hour, candlesticks, crown jewels, bears, bulls, bear hugs, blue chips. It's one big word salad of uncertainty. Fortunately, Fremont Bank now has incredible rates on their savings accounts and CDs. And while savings accounts and CDs may not be known for their great rates at your current bank, at Fremont Bank, you can get great rates from a great local bank. To learn more, stop in or visit us online. We'll explain it all in plain language. Fremont Bank, serving the Bay Area since 1964. Member FDIC.
Mom, Dad, Sis?
Here we go again.
Why are you in a suit?
Picture, if you will, a world with the best network imaginable. I'm talking about the Xfinity 10G network.
Go on.
Mom, remember how your reality shows wouldn't load with all of us online? Now you can binge. And Susie, we'll have fast internet in the basement.
Nice.
If you have any questions, here's my card.
This is just your name on a gum wrapper.
Introducing the 10G network only from Xfinity.